Hello and welcome to today's four-piece podcast. I am your host, Trunnis Goggins. Welcome, happy New Year. I'm very happy about this year, 2026. A lot of great things going on. One of the things going on is I have a book coming out called Lessons from My Father. That will be out here in less than 2 weeks now. It'll be less than 2 weeks. We'll have the book called Lessons from My Father coming out. You know, a lot of people who watch this podcast and listen to this podcast, they know, my brother's David Goggins. He wrote a book about it, and sometimes I get, questions like, "Hey, what about this? What about that?" And I don't answer them. I don't answer them a lot. I don't, because I just didn't feel like answering it. And it's the book is written. I am not discounting my brother's book. It is a true book, but it comes from a perspective, his own perspective. So what I do is I write my book from my perspective, and that's what I'm doing. So my book is called Lessons from My Father. It talks about life with my dad. It also talks about life, my life, and why I think and do the things I do. And I'm going to say mainly because of my dad. Everybody, I don't care what anybody says. I'm not going to be like my mother. I'm not going to be my father. You know what? I don't care what type of relationship you have with your mother or father. You are somewhat, if not totally like them. There's something that happens. There is something that happens that makes you like them. It's environment, it's heredity, it's DNA, it's anything. It's just a part of you. They are a part of you, regardless of what you think about them, regardless of how you feel about them. Hopefully you have a very good relationship with them, but hey, it is what it is, okay? And so that's what we're going to be talking about. That book comes out. A whole bunch of other things in 2026 are happening. I'll be talking about that after we have our guest. Our guest today is Gary Wise. Gary Wise, this man is a champion in every sense of the word. He's a coach, he's an athlete, and he is a very sensible, practical man, and he is a friend of mine. And I'm going to tell you, I know that one of the most popular, if not the most popular guests that I've ever had on this show, Philip McDonald. He is a friend of Philip McDonald, and any friend of Philip McDonald is a friend of mine. That is for damn sure. But he is going to be on the podcast. Gary Wise is here. He has a book coming out, and when we come back, we're going to be talking to Gary, and we're going to be talking about his book, and we're going to be talking about some other things as well. Again, Happy New Year. Welcome to the Four Piece Podcast. It is the first podcast of 2026, and let's get it started. We'll be right back right after this.
From the pain of losing a child to the courage of veterans finding new purpose. From the grief of friends and family gone too soon to the redemption of those who've fallen and risen again. Each story reminds us that even in our darkest moments, there is light. Even in heartbreak, there is healing. Even in loss, there is love, because these are stories of loss, stories of struggle, stories of hope.
Welcome back to the Four Piece Podcast. There are times when I bring guests that are just totally phenomenal. Their resumes are they shouldn't even be on this show. They should be on shows that are a lot higher and a lot better than this. And today is absolutely no exception. Today I have someone who we met maybe 6 months ago or so, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later, and we have instantly become friends. We are working together on a project that will be out soon. It is Gary Wise. Gary is living here in the United States, but he is an Australian. He is trying to convince me to move to Australia, but it doesn't take that much convincing. Gary, welcome to the program. How are you doing today?
Good morning, mate. How are you? And thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, and a pleasure to meet you and your friends. And thank you very much.
You're welcome. Gary, I want you to tell the audience, because this is amazing. Tell the audience some of the things that you have done in your life. I mean, just a brief resume. You are a phenomenal athlete.
Well, the story has evolved to now just being a salty old coach. But over the last 50 years of being a competitive athlete in a number of different sports at the highest level, I've learnt a lot through nothing but failure. It's been a journey of many, many, many more failings than successes, even though I've been fortunate enough to win world titles and have a world record or two. But the reality is those wins along the way are not so much learning experiences, but ultimately just a little mile marker in the road. So what has been the greatest lesson of all is the students that I get to learn from today in the beginning of their journey relative to what I went through 50 years ago being their age. So it's very interesting to see the things that they're subjected to today, the masses amounts of misinformation, distractions, noise, and things that quite honestly, I'm actually so glad we did not have to deal with. I was very fortunate to grow up in a time where, we drunk out of a hose. We didn't have all this information. You can even have good information that's too much, from wearing a timepiece or a Garmin that basically tells you how tired you are. In the old days, you're tired, you felt tired, you did something. But today, you wake up, you look at your Garmin, what's my body battery? Oh, it's this. Now do I have to act a certain way? It's become both. It's become both a blessing and a curse.
Absolutely. Now, what sports have you? I know you have a couple of world records. Name one of the sports that you have one of the world records in.
During a time when I came to America, I rode surf boats in Australia and I just loved surfboat rowing. Grew up north of Sydney, rode surf boats for many, many years. It wasn't a big thing over here. They had dory rowing over here. So we put a little band of merry men together, and that was going to be Team USA. Had a good friend from home, Pete Hickey, who was a promoter and promoting surfboat rowing, trying to get it become more of a world sport. And so they sent some boats over, and the rowers that were over here weren't particularly interested in jumping ship, so to speak, from dory rowing or stillwater rowing to surfboat rowing. So we were spread out. The ones we'd meet in California, and we formed a crew, and we raced against we hosted the Aussies, like the crew that won the championship to come over. We hosted them. We created a good bond. Another Australian that lived in America, plus 2 American rowers, and so in between the races and months and on end, you can't row a surfboat by yourself. So I got into to indoor rowing, and then that turned out that there was an actual indoor world rowing championship and records and all that sort of thing. So you could have a monitor, and it governed all your times and your standards, and you managed your training for you. So using that as our benchmark, it ended up being something that was able to use to training benefit, and then also have a very good form of self-motivation. So set a couple of distance records on that over the years, and it just became, there has to be something, because sitting on a concept rowing machine by yourself in any environment is just torture.
Exactly. I will tell you right now, sitting on a rowing machine, I just did that this morning, and you are absolutely right. Just sitting there rowing and going nowhere is not the greatest thing in the world. That is for sure. That is absolutely for sure. Okay, so you've won a couple of world records, and now you are coaching. So what do you do? What do you coach now?
So today's life is coaching the performance aspect of primarily junior golfers at our International Junior Golf Academy, as well as those who have graduated and gone on to college and professional careers, mixed in with the performance and mental coaching of athletes from many different other sports as well. But the day-to-day activities is helping young teenage golfers from the developmental level through to a number of highly ranked, world ranked players. Just this week at the academy, we probably have 5 players in attendance that are ranked in the top 100, 150 in the world.
Wow.
That are alumni. And it's great to get feedback from them and for the younger players to talk to them and see how they've progressed from being high school golfers or elite junior golfers to the top of the Division 1 tree with some again every year new crop comes to the graduating stage, and some of the players who are now playing in college in their about to go into their last semester before off to their professional career. So it's basically on the mind side of it. We call it like a mind management program, and that encompasses everything from overcoming anxiety, awareness, creation, self-belief, confidence, self-regulation, all your abilities to create that manage that gap between intention and action.
Wow. So now your coaching, your athletic career turned into coaching, and it's also turned into almost, because you've learned a lot through the coaching, you've learned a lot through the rigors of athletics and sports, and it's now turned into a book. Can you tell us a little bit about the book, the title, everything?
Well, the title's called No Junk Reps, and No Junk Reps to me is that every rep has a purpose. Every repetition of lifting, every repetition of rehearsal, every repetition of visualization, self-talk, breath work, it doesn't matter what. Every rep has a purpose. And to me, the old Australian in me was always, I had it on the side of my hat, my Bernie hat for years, that just had no junk reps, and that's sort of what the kids recognize, that if they did something that wasn't of thought based, or it wasn't purposeful, it was just done out of instinct or out of intuition, and it wasn't functional, then that was a no junk rep. And many years ago, it came from, to me, everybody, again, we'll go back to the rowing metaphor. In the beginning, people would always tell me, I love the rowing machine. And I would look at them and go, no, you can't love the rowing machine. The only reason you can love the rowing machine is if you don't pull the chain hard enough and push off the foot chocks hard enough. You're right. Just not, you put in an effort, you'll hate the rowing machine. End of story. So for me, and then it became that I looked at my 16-week program to get ready for a world title, etc. And it was that was based on no junk reps. There was just there was no need. You don't have the time. Even into the 2000s, having a young family, the boys' time was very important to me. It was just like, no, there can be no junk reps, and everything has to be done for a purpose. Yeah, that doesn't mean you don't have fun, but it just means tying purpose to each repetition.
I love what you said about you can't say you love this machine because you're not getting anything out of it. Sometimes people in life, they love doing something because it's easy. And then once challenge hits them, they don't love it anymore. So for example, you're lifting weights and you may be at, 135 and you can just bench 135 all day long and you're just having a blast because you're good at it. And then once somebody puts maybe 10 extra pounds on that weight, now you no longer like it. I know that this is what your book kind of, I don't want to say it uses that analogy because it doesn't. I'm using that analogy. But what I'm saying is, what do you say to people when you talk about no junk reps? the type of person who should buy this book, who should be the person who's buying this book?
Wow, that's a great question, and again, initially it wasn't written as a book to be published. It was written as a manuscript for a thesis. That program didn't eventuate. Well, it eventuated multiple times, but it kept going away. So I had the material. Contextually, if somebody wants to get on a rowing machine and row at a comfortable pace, everything's contextual. I love that. Because if your goal is to be happy, and that's the specific goal of that, then great, that's awesome. Who does this help? It helps people who have somebody in their life, or they are themselves in their life, trying to manage the path to the next step up, the next step forward, but hopefully not the next step backwards. It's about performance is about load. Load is our resistance, and you talking in a weight the weightlifting metaphor. So, but that's also matches with the mental aspect of it, or the emotional aspect of it. There is a load of those that become our resistance, and the gap, managing that gap between intention and perceived or desired outcome needs a process. It can't be left to chance if you really have aspiration, and it doesn't matter what field. Just I see every single year at the moment a lot of young athletes who their goal is to get to college. They want that college scholarship. They don't know what they want. Their parents want D1 top school because that's ingrained in them. That has become their focus. That's become about them. But a lot of the kids actually have no idea what they want. And quite honestly, why would you want to sit on the bench of a top or a higher level D1 school rather than be on the bus every week in a lower level or D2 school where you can actually learn mastery? So much of today's misinformation is based on purely on outcome. To me, every outcome is the correct outcome for the process applied. End of story. If you can't accept that, you can't move to the next step, because it was either winning or learning. It has to be that way. So the reality is, if you think your little Johnny is, because you've decided is the chosen one and is entitled to go to Stanford, Alabama, you name it, depending on what realm, it could be football, it could be baseball, it could be golf, it could be rowing. But the reality is the load, that particular load has so many nuances and pieces of the puzzle, and the gap is sometimes not even recognizable, because talent cap is a real thing, and we hear all the time that talent that doesn't work hard is always going to be. No, it's not going to be beaten by somebody with less talent. That there's no correlation, because it's all contextual and all based on the individual. And there are incredibly talented people out there who are incredibly lazy, and they got crappy attitudes, but they're still going to be a success. And then conversely, there's people that have less. So it's about recognition of your journey. The book is about, the 5 words for me that sum up the entire book is recognize. Recognize that in this moment, what's important in this moment. What are we reflecting on? What are we aspiring? What's the next golf? What is the objective of this golf shot? Right. Identify is the next word, and identify comes down to a little more specific. In golf, it would be selecting a shot that plays to our strength. In selecting for a baseball pitcher, knowing the count, knowing the tendencies, etc., identifying. Then the next one is alignment, aligning with your skill set, aligning with the moment, aligning with what's important at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to the fourth word being transfer. Then again, the transfer is incredibly important, because now we're transferring it from a cognitive, either an image or which is sensory, or a thought, to an action, converting to an action. This is where where you've picked a shot, you've visualized it, you've rehearsed it. Now we have to step in and execute. And
Absolutely.
lastly, most importantly, and this word can be put anywhere. It can be put, the first word, which is acceptance. Accepting that you have to, that again, go back to every outcome is the correct outcome for the process applied. JJ Spawn, 7th hole, US Open, hits the base of the flag, which was seemingly a perfect shot, comes all the way back down off the front of the green. He has three choices at that moment. Influence the situation, could gesture, whatever, change the situation, or just accept. He can't change it. There is no changing. It's happened. It's past. It's gone. How he adapted was obviously the right way, because then he was able to go on and win the tournament. But again, he could have had that choice at 2:30 in the morning as well, when he had to be up and run to CVS to pick up medication for his sick child. So every outcome is the correct outcome, and whether we like it or not, it doesn't matter. The outcome itself or the vehicle, it doesn't care. You're the one that has to adjust for what the next challenge is.
Absolutely. And I think that this is a great book. When you talked about and you used all the examples, this is a great book for parents. This is a great book for parents who have kids who are who are athletic, or who are just excel in anything in life. Sometimes as parents, we think our kid is the next Tom Brady. We think the kid is the next Wayne Gretzky. We think the kid is the next Michael Jordan. We think all these things, the next Tiger Woods, whatever it may be. But what we do is we end up pushing our kids to an unrealistic expectation. And it really does. It hurts the kids in the long run. It really does hurt the kids in the long run. This book here, especially, every outcome is the correct outcome. It's something that you can accept. What did you get out of it? I know that my kids, they played hockey, their youth hockey, their entire, from the time they were 3 to the time they graduated high school. And each and every one of them, they got something out of it. And both of them now have phenomenal careers. And a lot of the things that they learned, yes, they learned from their parents, but they also learned from playing the sport and learning the outcomes, the wins, the losses, the training, the hard work that comes behind it. And this book here that Gary is putting out, again, this is a great book. It's also a good book for parents, to kind of balance themselves out as well, because sometimes we push the kid too hard, and as a result, there's a bad result. They quit, they stop, they don't do anything with the talent that they have, and they don't learn anything from the talent that they have as well. So this is a great book. Gary, when is this book going to be out?
It's coming out in February of 26. It's it's very exciting. I was very detached, as you know, from writing the manuscript, and You've challenged me over the last few months to go to a place that's very uncomfortable for me, as far as putting this out there was not my first inclination in life. It was I was very happy to put it down. I haven't raced for the last 2 years because of a number of TIAs that I'd had. Again, unfortunately, from lack of recognition, pushing a little hard in hot Florida summers, and so I had a little change of focus as far as my time was concerned. So in the mornings, I had a lot of surgeries, as you know, shoulder replacement, neck vertebrae replacement, knee replacements, from a lifetime of abuse and lack of recognition. But my entire goal of this is to very simply is to be the person that I never had as far as my coaching, and to put down on paper the things that that I see, especially over the last 10 years. The last 10 years of taking kids to higher level of, from IJGT golf tournaments to Hurricane to the different tournaments around the world, AJGAs, etc., and invitationals. Just seeing the complete misinformation that floats around as far as what it takes. That it isn't just talent. It's not. It's a sum of so many parts. And you're again going back to my job, I believe, is to give athletes the capacity, the tools, whether it be from past learned experiences or present moment, focus and thinking, strategies and structure to achieve their best version of their outcome they desire. It's and it's a utilization of a lot of tools. You can be physically gifted, but there are so many programs that are running that we don't see. What I'd really, life would be so much easier if we had like a bubble that came up and we could see what people were thinking. But their body language tells me, their eyes tell me, their posture tells me, and the way they speak about themselves, and then how they relate to the information they're receiving from the people that are on their team, parents, coaches. There are just so many, and obviously those influencers on social media. I mean, you have a coach who may have all the knowledge in the world, who's not particularly fond of social media, but then we have somebody out there. There's sort of this new generation. They get 1 million followers in a few weeks, and next thing you know, everything that they put out there is gospel. That's difficult for young kids to manage themselves. That's difficult for parents to manage. They Absolutely. See that this person with 1 million followers has said this, therefore it suddenly becomes the truth.
And in many cases, it's not. And that's sad, and it is a lot of pressure. Gary, I want to thank you for being a part of the show. Like I said, his book, No Junk Reps, will be out in February. You're going to see a lot more on this podcast about No Junk Reps. We'll be right back right after this.
The 4 Ps of You, Expanded Edition by Trunnis Goggins, is a powerful guide to personal growth built on 4 foundational principles: purpose, planning, passion, and persistence. In this expanded edition, Goggins shares real stories of trials and tribulations, his own and those of others, to inspire readers to reflect, reset, and rise. With added insights and practical exercises, this book empowers you to navigate life's challenges, unlock your potential, and live with greater intention and impact. The 4 Ps of You is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and worldwide wherever books are sold.
I love what Gary says. I love the no jump reps. I love his philosophy on life. And it is you learn a lot in sports. You learn a lot in sports. And I will tell you right now, I encourage you to do something athletic, because the physical things that you do, it helps the mental mind. It helps your mental. I was going to say something. I just pulled a George W. Bush, but it does help you mentally. It really does help you mentally, and it helps you in developing character. It helps you in persistence. It helps you in strategy. It helps you in so many different things. It helps you in camaraderie, who to trust, who not to trust when it comes to teams. And I mean that when I say that, who to trust, who not to trust when it comes to teams. And you know what? You could trust somebody and not like them. All right. And seriously, that is something that a lot of people get like, what are you talking about? There's a lot of people out there I don't like, but I'll tell you right now, when it comes right down to it, whenever they say something to me, I'll take that to the bank. I will take that to the bank. Faux show. and that's what I'll do. So Gary has a book coming out called No Junk Rep. That's the working title. I think that title may change here when it comes out, but that is the working title, No Junk Reps. It will be out, I do know, in February of 2026. Great book, great man, great philosophy, and it's something that, again, like I said, if you are, especially, it is a sensible. It is something that you can use. There are a lot of people, and I'm going to go back to this. I know I talked about this a little bit during the interview. There are a lot of people out there that, and to a certain extent, I was one of them, that when their kids get into sports and they show this much talent, they automatically think that they're the greatest person in the world, the greatest athlete in the world, and they put pressure on their kids. Make sure that whatever sport they're doing, that they enjoy it. Make sure that it is a part of them in a good way, and not in a way that they're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I'm not having fun. I watched a lot of kids. I coached hockey. I played hockey, not very well, but I played it. And but I coached a team. We coached a team that won the city championship a couple years back. A lot of years back. My kids now are adults, but I watched some of those parents, not on my team necessarily. My team, it was just, let's go out and have some fun. But I watched other parents push their kids to the point to where they no longer had fun in the sport. And I'm going to tell you, hockey is a sport that you have to have fun in. It's the only place that, I love that, even when you get older, they call it beer league. And that is some good stuff. Anything with beer in front of it is a lot of fun. That's just all there is to it. But yeah, this book is a great book for you to sit down and think about. It's a good book to keep to put you in perspective. I have already read the book. It is a damn good book, and Gary Wise is a really good person, and he, above all, has the most experience when it comes to writing that book. I told you that we have a lot of changes coming with the 4Ps podcast, and we are. One thing that we're going to do, one thing that I want, our podcast is growing year over year over year over year. Our top six, I should say, five countries that we were ranked in. Australia was number one, obviously. I love Australia. I really do. As a matter of fact, I still have the New South Wales license plate up there. I love it, love it, love it. Second place was the United States, and third place was Canada. Fourth place was UK. The fifth place was the Netherlands. And I really do. I want to reach out. If you're in the Netherlands, please talk to me. And then sixth was New Zealand. So, like I said, I really do want to, if you are from the Netherlands and you're listening to this, please, number one, I want you to like and subscribe. Number two, I want you to tell everybody in the Netherlands that this is the podcast to be. But please, like I said, you can send it out, reach out, subscribe, like, but in addition to liking and subscribing, we're going to have some contests. I'm going to be giving away some books that I have. Not taking these books off the shelf. They stay on there. That's part of the direct decorations. And these books are going to change here and there and blah, 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 blah. We are also going to be having giveaways. I mean, there are some really cool designs that we have coming. I have a great printer and a very dear friend. He's like a brother to me. He really is a brother to me, honestly. His name is TJ Mack, who's going to be helping with the designs. We have a whole bunch of things going on. These designs will be coming into workout t-shirts. As you guys know, I'm really big into CrossFit now. I love hockey. I'll always love hockey. But until I get done with my turf games in Sydney, I'm putting hockey on the shelf for a second. I will tell you this. The thing I have to brag about is I gained 10 pounds of straight muscle weight, and I feel good. So, and I'll be 55. So now and I'll be 55 like super soon. And so at 55, gaining 10 pounds of pure muscle weight, I think that I'm waiting for a call from Jake Paul because I think I'm just now old enough to fight him. if he ever calls. So Jake Paul, if you're ready to fight, I'm here for you. I do, I will. I'm, we'll go do it. I'm old enough. I'll show you my ID if necessary, and we can go forward. But next week for our podcast, I'm going to tell you a couple things. Number one, we're going to have new social media linked to the podcast starting next week. Also next week, I'm going to tell you, Nicole, who produces this podcast, has done wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things with my website. Once you go to the website, it's 4ps-group.com. Make sure you go to that website. Also, I have a new marketer who's dealing with my social media, and her name is Stephanie Webster. And she is doing some great things. I will be sending links to my new social media pages. I want you, the audience, to interact on those social media pages. By interacting on that social media page, there's ways to get free stuff. I want you to get free stuff. And we're, like I said, we're going to have a contest. I will be announcing the contest next week. I will tell you that the contest, we're going to have 4 major contests a quarter. And one contest we're going to be dealing with the 4 Ps, obviously: purpose, planning, passion, and persistence. And I will say that the last podcast, or the last contest on the podcast, major contest on the podcast, the winner of that podcast will be an author in my book, Stories of Persistence, which is going to be due out in the great month of November 2026. Stories of Persistence, and one person listening to this podcast today, and hopefully every other time this comes out. It comes out every single Tuesday. Just want you to know that, every Tuesday. So if you're listening to this podcast today, all right, and you want to be a part of this, we'll be building it up pretty soon for the Stories of Persistence. I am looking for an author. If you're listening to this podcast, you're all about, the whole person approach to self-improvement, and I'm glad that you think that this is a great tool for you to do it. Again, next week, I want to tell you, next week we're going to be announcing the contest rules and everything. We're going to be putting it all together and all that other good stuff. It's probably going to be on a different recording because I have to really script that out, because you know how I run my mouth and go off on tangents. So we're just going to get that done. But next week we are going to be talking about the contest rules. Also, you know what? We're not going to just be talking about contests. We're also going to be having a guest. Our guest next week is Amy Dial. She has a book out, and her book is... it touches on some controversial stuff, and I have no idea why this is controversial. It's become a political issue. I stay out of politics. You know that. I always do stay out of politics, and I'm not talking about this from the political aspect. I'm talking about this from the human aspect, and Amy Dial is definitely the person that you want to hear when it comes to that. We will see you next week. Like I said, a lot of new stuff coming up, and I will talk to you soon. You have a great day. Bye-bye.